Hey there, all you loyal listeners, rabid readers, and all around fucking nerds. I'm your host, Troy, and we are back in with another episode of Hamit's Ode Atrocities. So, today's episode is specifically about Marvel's The Watcher. Not just The Watchers, but Uatu. That's his name, in case you didn't know. I actually don't love his name. It's spelled Uatu. The Watcher, Watchu. Uatu. Jack Kirby, it was a long time ago when he came up with this, so I don't blame him that much, but he could have went a little bit further. But yeah, so I'm going to talk a little bit about his appearances in comics, what's happening with him currently, a couple of his powers maybe, and just even general overall on what you should maybe expect moving forward in the MCU with Uatu. At the time of recording this, the What If trailer just came out like 2 days ago. I know a lot of people have been asking sort of questions about him. I know that the Watchers had a cameo appearance in Guardians of the Galaxy 2, but this is the first time we'll actually see Uatu as a character with a voice, with his own opinions and stuff like that. So, yeah, let's get into it. So Uatu's first appearance in Marvel Comics was all the way back in 1963. He appears in the Fantastic Four number 13, and for a good while just sort of remains a Fantastic Four character. They dealt with a lot of cosmic shit, so it makes sense. But yeah, whenever there was something crazy going on, like with Silver Surfer, Fantastic Four, he would just sort of show up. He didn't really do much. He interfered a couple times, and we'll get into some of the main areas of that. But for the longest time, I think for at least 10, 20 years, he didn't really do anything. He just sort of was this ominous presence. I remember when in Infinite Gauntlet, he does show up to sort of be like, hey, some shit's going on, In Fantastic Four 48, though, it's when Reed Richards, I think, saves Atlantis' life. They were Atlantis was going to die, and Reed Richards, being just like the greatest hero of all time, even though they've battled Atlantis multiple times, he had to save his life because he's a good person, and he ends up getting put on trial, and the Watcher shows up to be his lawyer because the Watcher has seen everything. So he ends up seeing everything that Atlantis has ever done in the universe, making it so that Atlantis does serve some kind of real purpose. And so Reed Richards saving him saves the entire galaxy. And it's the first time that you sort of see the Watcher have a real opinion about things. So the Watcher actually is from a race of, apparently the first race that ever existed in this iteration of the Marvel universe. And so they figured it was their duty to watch everything that's going on. This race is called the Ryori, if I'm pronouncing that right, and that wasn't actually known until very recently in in Black. Because you have Null, who has been around since the beginning of reality, and so he saw the first race, and that's sort of how you find out. But throughout time, there's a couple different instances where the Watcher has interfered. I think he tossed a Swirl Earl when she defeats Thanos one time. There's a battle with the Hulk and Red Hulk on an asteroid that's supposed to, prevent Earth's destruction, and he interferes then. He shows up in Infinity Gems and even in Secret Invasion, I believe. There's so many that it's actually kind of hard to count. And at one point in the Neil Gaiman Eternals, the Dreaming Celestial notices the Watcher. That's how powerful the Celestials are. And he points out that Uatu has interfered in the matters of the human race over 400 times. I don't think that there actually have been 400 instances in comics, but it was a funny little jab at Uatu's expense. Anyways, so in the comics, he eventually dies. there is this really cool storyline called Original Sin. It's actually one of the better things I think Jason Aaron's ever written, and it's the mystery of who kills the Watcher. And I would love to do an episode just on Original Sin. I probably will one day, so I'm just going to sort of skip over the fact that he's murdered, and the person who murders him eventually, by the time you find out, ends up taking his role as the person that needs to be the person that watches everything that's going on the planet. So in Original Sin, Watu's killed by someone. I'm not going to tell you who. I'll leave that for an Original Sin episode. But that person ends up taking the toll of being the guy who lives on the moon to watch every event that's happening. It wasn't until very recently in the Empire storyline, which was really good. Sort of the Kree and the Skrull team up is like the latest chapter, a sequel to Kree Skrull War and Celestial Madonna. But at the very, very end, there's this like, oh, what's going on, And like, there's something behind the scenes. Like once everything's wrapped up, and the person who's called the Unseen when he takes on the power, um, the Unseen ends up looking into looking into the behind the scenes of what caused the events of Empire, and it ends up resurrecting Watu, which leads us into what's currently happening, where Watu is actually in like a vendetta. He's not going to take over his old spot anymore. He's going to try to figure out what's going on. Apparently, there's some stuff with maybe some of his brothers and sisters, and the Unseen, the person who kills him, becomes his herald, much like Silver Surfer and Atlantis. So that's where we're at in the comics, and I'm very excited to see moving forward sort of what happens. Um, so you might ask yourself, well, who the fuck is this guy to be able to live super long and have all of these visions and be able to tell everything that's going on in the universe? Like I said, he was part of the Watchers. He actually is given the job to watch Earth as a punishment by the other people who are on the other uh, rote or whatever they were called. Um, the Riori. So he has all the powers that his brothers and sisters have, and they're all watching different realities where ours is the universe 616. Other Riori are watching other realities, and like this is a punishment for him, but Watu also has studied Earth's alternate realities with the permission of the Timekeepers, which if you're watching Loki, you would know what that is. Um, and he can go through portals and see alternate realities. So there have been like other instances where like in Marvel 1602, even though it's still technically canon that Fantastic Four 13 is the first time he broke his oath and showed up to the Marvel superheroes. In 1602, he talks to Doctor Strange and sort of lets him know that the events that are happening in this 1602 is a pocket universe and it's not the actual timeline and stuff like that. Or I think also in one of the Marvel zombies, like so he's peeking into the Marvel Zombies universe, and he tries to warn other people about all the zombies that are happening, and Giant Man ends up appearing out of nowhere on the moon and kills him, so that way Watu dies. Yeah, then there's like, I mean, alternate reality versions also come with alternate realities of Watu. It's very complicated shit, man. Like I'm not gonna sugarcoat this. Even though our Watu can go into other realities, there are also other reality versions of Watu that can look into our reality. Yeah, it is very confusing stuff. So that leads us to the what if show for the MCU that's going to be on Disney Plus. It sort of is coming out of the tail feathers of Loki. I'm not going to get too much into that show, but it does let us know that there are alternate timelines. In Doctor Strange, they talk about alternate realities and timelines. The What If show is going to be Uatu looking into those alternate realities and seeing, answering the question, what if? Which was a series of its own comics, and there were tons of cool spin-offs of What If. There was like a whole series back in the 90s where it would just do a lot of that stuff. But basically ever since that's happened, there's always been random offshoots of like, what if uh you know Peter Parker joined the Fantastic Four? That's probably the most famous one. But like in early 2000s there was Age of Ultron, which was really good. And I do have a comment that is, what if Ultron won? Which I think that one of the realities for What If is going to be, what if Ultron was able to put his consciousness into the Vision? There's a lot of stuff in the trailers. I'm not going to get into all of them. I'm sure you're as excited about it as I am. Like, what if Killmonger ended up becoming a hero after saving Tony Stark? What if Peggy Carter got the serum? You know, and Watu, the way that they're portraying him in the trailer, at least, is way closer to what his actual power level should be. Instead of just being a bit baby looking dude, in the trailer for the What If show, it looks like he's more celestial god, much like Eternity or Thanos after getting all of the Infinity Stones, which is his power level. So I'm not going to get too into all the specific stories or anything like that. I just wanted to give you guys a breakdown into who he is, what he's done, and so you have a better idea of what it's going to be like going into this What If show. I'm very excited. Thank you guys for listening. Check you later. Bye.